Trade tensions between the U.S. and China are intensifying yet again ahead of President Trump's expected meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping later this month. The latest escalation follows Beijing saying it will tighten its control of the country's rare earth mineral exports. Earlier today, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent slammed the move, saying it threatens the global economy.
Make no mistake, this is China versus the world. They have put these unacceptable export controls on the entire world. China is a command and control economy, and we and our allies will neither be commanded nor controlled. They are a state economy, and we are not going to let a group of bureaucrats in Beijing try to manage the global supply chain.
Let's bring in CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi for more on this. Olivia, good to see you here. What sort of action is the administration weighing now against China in the wake of these new restrictions? And also, what kind of concerns does the White House have about what these rules will do to global trade?
Well, Nancy, it's good to be with you. It certainly signifies a flare-up in the U.S.-China trade relations, especially after there was a lot of negotiations and even a trade deal that came out of this earlier this year when we saw Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Jamieson Greer, the trade representative, meet with their Chinese counterparts in Switzerland, where this is exactly what was discussed. The U.S. said that they would lower tariffs and in exchange get more access to those rare earth minerals from China. But we did just hear from the Chinese that there is going to be new export controls going into effect on November 1st. So what does that actually mean and who does it impact? Well, the American consumer, specifically as it relates to autos, cell phones. It impacts our defense sector as well, as they need those rare earth minerals. Also, artificial intelligence. There's a major boom happening in the U.S. developing AI centers. They need those rare earth materials, of which China has about 70% of the world's rare earth minerals. So this is very critical. We are seeing this administration push back vehemently against these new export controls, arguing that they may violate the trade deal that was struck back in Switzerland. We also heard from Secretary Bessent saying that the Chinese are just not trustworthy at this point between their negotiations with the U.S. As you mentioned, though, there is a conversation, a meeting that is expected to happen between President Trump and President Xi Jinping at the end of the month on the sidelines of that South Korean conference. That is still expected to happen. And Nancy, this is certainly going to be something that is part of that discussion.
I can imagine. And Olivia, looking ahead to this afternoon, President Trump is set to hold a press conference with FBI Director Kash Patel. What more do we know about what he's expected to announce in that?
Well, this is a rare appearance of the president and the FBI director together, not only just appearing together, but also in a press conference in the Oval Office where we'll be able to ask them questions. We don't know much about this announcement, but there's a variety of things that we are expecting to be able to ask them questions on. One being the expanded use of FBI agents for immigration control. Another being the allegations that Tom Homan, the border czar at the White House, accepted money, a bribe from FBI agents who were undercover to give them contracts in the second Trump administration. Also, just the recent investigations into John Bolton, former national security advisor under the first Trump administration. So certainly a variety of questions we have, not only for the president, but for the FBI director who's appearing with him today. Also questions about those FBI agents during the government shutdown. Are they being paid? How are they being taken care of? And how are we making sure that even though the government is shut down and they may not be getting a paycheck, that there is still safety on the streets and in the counterterrorism units that are employed and focused on the safety of Americans abroad as well.
Yeah, we'll stay tuned for all that. Olivia Rinaldi, thank you very much.